So here's the topic of today's session, and let me introduce myself first. My name is Diana, and I'm one of the teachers at International Language Center in Kiev, Ukraine. And so, but at the moment, actually, most of the job that I do is in teacher training because I'm a Cambridge CELTA, and Delta trainer. So that's why CELTA is a popular course, and I decided to talk to you about that. And well, for a number of reasons. First of all, there are a lot of myths about Cambridge CELTA, and that's why I think it's a good idea to meet sometimes and to discuss them for people to have a clearer idea of what the course is about, what to expect on the course, and to actually understand whether you need it or not. Also, all right, so more people are joining us, so this is good. Right. Another reason why I think it's important to talk about this course is for you to actually to be able to choose the course that you need, because CELTA, as I've already mentioned, is the most popular one, and this is the name that everyone has already heard. But the thing is that maybe, well, it's important for people to know that this is exactly the course that you need, and that's the course that you can take now. And hopefully today you will get all that information after this webinar. Let's get started. So first of all, I'd like to get to know you a little bit. So could you please write in the chat box the city you're from, the school where you work, and the age of your students, who you're working with, and the number of years you've been teaching English. So please write your answers in the chat box, and here's my example for you. So. Right. Again, so please write the city, the school or the company you're working for, the age of your students, and the number of years in teaching, just for me to have a bit more information about you. Right. All right. Okay, so as people are answering, so thank you, Cherkasy. Yes, I cannot see your name, unfortunately, just the name of the school, probably a freelance teacher. All right, and 5 years in teaching. All right, this is good. Well, okay, while we're, well, nice to meet you, thank you. While we're waiting for more people to join and to write their answers in the chat box, I'm going to get started. So, thank you. So, of course, this is the question I normally ask: why do you want to do the CELTA course? And there are many reasons why people want to do this course. First of all, they want to develop and become better as teachers. And the course will definitely help them with that. Another reason is to actually, well, make more money for what you're doing, which again is an admirable aim in my opinion, because anything good that you do should be paid well for. And well, some people want to travel, and this is the course that can help you do that as well. So what we're going to talk about today, the agenda for today's lesson, not lesson, for today's session. All right, more people are joining, sorry. Yep. Here. All right, so here's the agenda for today's session. We're going to talk about what CELTA is, the course requirements, the entry requirements for people who want to take the course, how the course is assessed and what you need to complete during the course, course formats, which are available in 2020 and 21, which is actually quite interesting because with COVID-19, we have some, well, let's say, open up some new opportunities and new doors for us. We're going to talk briefly about CELTA interview, but I must say that if you're interested in that, if you're really considering taking this course, really intend to do that, you might want to sign up for a next webinar, which will be on CELTA interviews, and there will be more information, even some tasks, which are similar to those you might be asked to do during the CELTA interview. We're going to talk about how to prepare for the course, about some common fears and doubts, and that you'll get the chance to share yours as well, if you have any, and frequently asked questions, and of course your questions as well. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box, and I will have a look at them at the end of the session. I'm not going to answer them right away, but at the end of the session today, I'm going to look at the chat box and go through the questions that you write there. So let's get started. All right, so CELTA, certificate in teaching English language to speakers of other languages. And the important thing is that this is the certificate in teaching English to adults, because if you work with kids, of course, there will be a lot of useful there, but there are special courses which can equip you with the right skills for working with kids, especially with primary school students. So if you're working with primary school students or preschoolers, CELTA will be an interesting course for you, definitely, but it's not going to give you, like, there will be more on the course which is about teaching adults, which can be transferred into the classroom with teenagers. Most of them can, but still, if you work with younger kids, probably you will not hear the answers to your questions during this course. So, and Cambridge CELTA has been around for many years now, and it started with a slightly different course, but it's been around for, I think, for more than 30 years. And at the moment, this is the most recognizable and recognized, most well-known certificate around the world, which is recognized by a lot of organizations, including the British Council everywhere in the world. So it's probably at the moment, this is the most reliable certificate that you can have. All right, so CELTA is a pre-service course, and this is something that many people don't know about, because CELTA is the course which was initially created for actual native speaker teachers who did not have a degree in teaching, but who wanted to share their knowledge about the language and wanted to travel the world. So you do not need to have any teaching experience to take the CELTA course. As I mentioned, it's highly recognized around the world because it's been around for many years. A lot of organizations recognize it, and it is still administered by Cambridge. It is a very good combination of theory and practice, because you will have some theoretical and practical input, not only the theory, but you will also get the chance to teach and start using the techniques you learned during the course in your classroom, which is great. And it is assessed by Cambridge representative, which means that the standards are pretty high. And even in the world that we're living in right now, where it is difficult to travel, every CELTA course is still assessed by an assessor. Some of them are assessed face-to-face, some of them are assessed remotely, but there is still a day on each CELTA course where the assessor is here and checks the paperwork. And another reason why you can trust the certificate is the rigorous selection and training of the CELTA tutors. Because actually you cannot just become a CELTA trainer because you want to become one. You need to complete, to have the right qualifications, and you need to go through the right training, and not every CELTA trainer is approved after the first time they shadow a CELTA course. So it can take years to become a CELTA tutor, which means that, again, the quality of the course is quite high. All right, so now I'd like you to participate just a little bit. So here are the course requirements. One of them is incorrect. So could you please drop a number in the chat box? Which of the requirements on this slide are not correct? Is not correct, sorry. So the chat box, number 1, or okay. People are participating. This is great. And yes, you're absolutely right. Number 4 is not correct. Because as I mentioned, for this course, you do not need to have any teaching experience. So yes, the potential candidate needs to be 18 years old. There are exceptions, but for a number of reasons, Cambridge is reluctant to accept the people who are younger than 18 years. And one of the reasons for that is actually that, well, it could be difficult and create more stress and strain, put more strain on a 16 or 17-year-old to teach people who are in their 50s or 40s, you know, as a teacher. So it could be a bit difficult and could create some situations which are a bit uncomfortable. But again, I'm not saying that this is impossible. You need to be a high school graduate, but you do not need to have a bachelor's or a master's degree. The important requirement is the C1 level of English, or IELTS Band 7. But the interesting thing is that you do not need to have a certificate to prove that this is true, because during the interview, you will have to complete some written tasks, and you will need to, so there will be some written tasks for you to complete. And during the oral interview, the trainers, who are in most cases international speaking examiners as well, they will be able to understand whether your level of English is at the C1 level, which is enough to successfully pass the course. All right, moving on. Assessment. So during the course, you need to complete 6 hours of teaching practice at 2 different levels. And so all of those lessons, 6 hours, are assessed and moderated by an experienced CELTA trainer. That means that normally, it depends on the center where you take the course, but at our center, we normally have 8 45-minute lessons. 4 lessons at the elementary level and 4 lessons at the intermediate. Sometimes you would have to teach 4 lessons at the pre-intermediate and upper intermediate levels. But the important thing is that you need to have 1 level in between them. And this is a Cambridge requirement. You need to complete 6 hours of observations of experienced teachers. So your tutors that you're working with on the course will teach a couple of lessons, 1 or 2 lessons normally. And there are also observations of experienced teachers working at the center, and DVD observations. Also, you need to complete 4 written assignments. Each of the assignments needs to be 750 to 1,000 words long. And this is one of the reasons why your language needs to be C1. Because those assignments need to be written in good, accurate language. And again, because the assessor will get the chance to look at them. there is nothing we can do about it. So the level of English is important. And the written assignments, if you have any questions about them, you can write them in the box, in the chat box now. But the written assignments deal with 4 different aspects of teaching and learning, which is quite insightful. And there is really a lot you can learn from researching and writing these assignments. All right. 120 contact hours. So this includes teaching, practice, feedback, and assessed lesson planning and input. So you're going to have to be at the center or available on Zoom if you decide to take the online course during 120 contact hours. Some of them could be study hours, but not many of them. And in addition to that, you need to be prepared to spend about 80 hours doing homework. That would involve doing some background reading for the assignments, for your teaching, and preparing and writing your lesson plans. Because for the 8 lessons that you're going to have to teach at our center or any other center, so their number of lessons could be different, but 8 is normally the standard. You would have to provide a lesson plan as well with the materials. So those 80 hours would be spent doing that. Continuous assessment of the course. One of the questions that people ask me quite often is, tell me about the exam at the end of the course. And the answer to that is that, well, there isn't one. So the course is assessed continuously based on the portfolio of the lessons that you teach and the written assignments that you submit. You don't have to take an exam. Even if you fail one of the lessons at the beginning or in the middle of the course, you will still get the chance to teach your next lesson better, incorporate all the feedback you get from the trainers, and therefore pass the course and pass the lesson and the course. There are 4 possible grades on the course. So the pass grade, and about 70% of the candidates worldwide get that grade. Pass B, I would say about 20% of the candidates get it. And of course, there are some very strong candidates on the course, and a lot of them will still get a pass grade, unfortunately. And I understand that it is not fair because but again, 70% of the candidates worldwide get the pass grade. So the range is very different there, from weaker passes to very strong passes, but some people will manage to get the pass B, and that will depend on the written assignments, attendance, everything, because we do have a lot of criteria that we use when assessing the course. And of course, 5% of the people taking the course will be lucky and hardworking enough to, yes, and lucky as well, because anything could happen during the course, to get the pass A grade. Unfortunately, there's also the fail grade, but the good news is that it's very difficult to get it. Because in most cases, people who get the fail grade, they've either didn't tell us some important information during the interview about some health-related issues, or they are not very good at time management, or they decided to combine the course with working, which, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this, is not the best idea, especially if you take the intensive course. So the percentage is, I would say, like 2 to 3% of the people fail the course and 2% withdraw for some reasons. But the fail grade exists. I must say that at our center, with the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, we haven't seen a failed candidate. So everyone manages to pass, and of course, the trainers help with that. By that I mean that if anyone is in danger of failing or whose performance is not to the standard at some point, gets a proper warning and the exact steps that need to be taken in order to pass the course. And this is what the trainers are for. All of the grades are discussed and agreed upon with the Cambridge assessor. And some of the portfolios might have to be sent to Cambridge. So that's why we're uh, doing our job very thoroughly and take the responsibility for everything we do on the course. All right, available course formats, and this is the interesting thing, and this is the gift from 2020 that we got. So the full-time or intensive CELTA, which is 4 weeks long, the part-time or extensive CELTA, 13 weeks long, CELTA Online, and this course existed for several years now. And this is a blended course, which means that the input is done online using a platform. So this is not a synchronous course. Basically, you're doing some work, then at the end of the week, the tutor will check it, or there will be some discussions that tutor will get involved in. But you cannot you're not next to the tutor 8 or 9 hours a day, so you cannot ask them a question like that. But of course, you can keep in touch with them and communicate via emails. But teaching practice for that course is done online, and I'll give you some more information about it. And the new thing, which is going to stay with us till July 2020, this is the completely or 100% online CELTA, where the input, teaching practice, everything is done online. And this is quite interesting and proved to be a popular option among some people. But basically, completely online CELTA is the normal CELTA, which is done not in the classroom, but on Zoom. All right, here's some more information about the courses and the formats that we offer at our center. So first of all, the face-to-face, the offline CELTA. We have 2 formats, full-time, 4 weeks long, 5 days a week from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. So basically, this is like having a full-time job. That's why it's full-time CELTA. Normally, these courses are run in summertime. So we have courses in June, July, and August, because not many people are able to take the course during the academic year, because a lot of people in Ukraine, for example, are teachers, so they are teaching. They're not learning during that time. The part-time course is the option that we are offering throughout the year. And normally we have 2 courses. We have 1 running at the moment, and there will be another one starting in January. This course is 13 weeks long, and there you have Friday. You will have to be here at our center in Kiev on Friday from 5 till 8 p.m. and on Saturday, basically from 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. So Saturday, the whole day. But this course is possible to combine with actually working during the week. So basically, who is the course most suitable for? The intensive, the full-time course, which is 4 weeks long, is normally for practicing teachers who can take some time off only during the summer. And this is the right choice for them. And of course, it will be very stressful. It will be difficult, but it is 100% worth the time you would spend on that course. Because during this course, you make new friends, you learn new things about yourself, and the amount of information is, of course, tremendous, but in a good way. If we talk about the part-time course, this is a 13-week long course, and this is the course for those people who do not want to stress themselves out that much, who want to continue working, who cannot take time off work. Of course, this course will probably be more suitable for people with families. By that, I mean kids. It will be easier to combine that, because if you decide to do the intensive course, the full-time one, it's better to send your kids somewhere for the 4 weeks. And we started running the part-time course, I think, back in 2011 or 12, and it proved quite popular. And it gives you the chance to do more background reading because you do have more time. And the assignments are less stressful and teaching practice, because if you take the intensive course, you have to teach 2 lessons a week. And if you take the part-time course, you will need to teach like 8 lessons over the course of 8 weeks. So basically there will be 5 weeks when you don't even have to teach. So just attend the input, observe lessons, and enjoy your Saturdays. Here's the completely online course. And again, for the course on Zoom, we do have 2 formats. Basically, we have 2 courses running at the same time, one online and one at our center. So the full-time course is again 4 weeks long, but because it's difficult to spend all the time at the computer, it starts a bit earlier. It starts on Sunday, not on Monday. So normally on Sunday, you have the first input session, you get to meet the tutors, and you get some inputs on how to use Zoom. And also for those teachers who are not very experienced in using Zoom, they can have some practice every day. And that is incorporated in the timetable. And for the part-time courses, the timetable is almost the same, but there will be 1 extra hour on Fridays, again for Zoom practice. And that course, again, is done completely online, and the next one will be starting in January. So if you're interested, write the questions in the chat box, or if you'd like to get more information about it. And the last format is the CELTA course online. Again, this is the blended course. The course we are offering is 11 weeks long. So you will have access to the Cambridge platform during that time. There will be units and tasks to do online for that course. But for the teaching practice, you will have to come to Kiev, which means that teaching practice is done in 2 blocks. There is 1 block, Sunday to Friday, from 10 till 5. On Wednesdays off. And so there are 2 blocks, and there are 3 weeks in between them. So basically, it would have to be here on week 5 and week 9. Yeah, so the input is done online. And for teaching practice, feedback, and lesson planning, you will have to be here in Kiev for 2 weeks. Every week, you will have a meeting with the trainers, because there will be live rooms where you get the chance to ask the trainer questions and ask them, share some concerns about the course, or if you need help, you can also communicate with the trainers. This course is most suitable for those teachers who do not live in Kiev and who do not want to take the intensive course. And that's why we decided that, because we care about our teachers who want to grow professionally with us. That's why we decided to start running these courses well, because this way you would have to come to Kyiv for only like 10 or 12 days. So, which again, if you don't have any family or friends in Kiev, that would be a good option if you rent an apartment for 5 days or 6 or 12 days, not the whole month. So, and also it is possible to combine it with work. You would just have to take 2 weeks off, 1 week in February and another one in late March. So again, for some people, this is an easier option than just come here for 4 weeks in summer. All right, so yes, about the CELTA interview. So normally you will have some language awareness tasks, and because as I've already mentioned, there are 2 parts. There is 1 part which is written, and normally you can get the application from the center and complete the written tasks at your own pace and take as long as you need. But there will also be an interview with the trainer. And there will be some language awareness tasks normally in the application form, and you will be asked some questions about grammar and vocabulary a bit later during the interview as well, just to check what you think about language, whether you're able to help learners understand this language, whether you have the right knowledge and awareness of the language that you're going to teach. There will also be some tasks asking you about teaching ideas. But again, if you're asked those tasks, there is no one correct answer to them. So there is no need to worry about it, because you will learn more about teaching during the course. But during the interview, we will just need to know whether, well, how you respond to those questions that we ask you, whether you can come up with some ideas or not, because it's our job to understand whether you're in the right mindset for the course and if you have the right potential. And most of the people do. There will be some tasks to assess written language of the candidates, because as I mentioned, C1 is important. It is a requirement. And assessment of spoken language. Of course, we're not going, well, it will be done during the interview continuously. And of course, there will be some information about the course, but probably after this webinar, you shouldn't have many questions. And you will get the chance to ask tutors your questions about the course. So if you have questions today, I'll be happy to answer them. But if you still have questions, write them down and then ask them during the interview, because this is, well, this is your chance to get the answers, because you will be getting into something important for you. It will be demanding. It will demand a lot of effort and time. So you do need to have all the information that you need about the course. How can you prepare for the course? And well, actually, some people think that this is something difficult and you need to be ready for it. Of course, you need to be ready for it, but in most cases, psychologically and emotionally, you need to be ready for this, because preparation for the course could be quite enjoyable. Of course, there will be some grammar. It doesn't mean that, and here I have, well, the books that I like, actually. Well, Michael Swan is one of my favorite authors, but there are other grammar books that you need to have. It doesn't mean that you need to have read Practical English Usage by Michael Swan. So you need to have them, because those are the reference books. If some questions arise as you're teaching before the course, if you are a practicing teacher who wants to take CELTA, or if you're just reading something in English and you see some structures, why not look them up in the book? Make it enjoyable, and well, they will still be learning, because well, nobody knows everything about language and the grammar. So those are the books I would suggest finding. To prepare to the course, it's a good idea to listen and read to English to help you improve your vocabulary. Of course, you can read books, you can read newspapers, watch films online, but again, this is something that most teachers do on a regular basis, because, well, we have access to the information in English. Why not benefit from it? After the interview, you'll be sent the pre-course tasks, which the candidates are recommended to complete before the course. So again, there is nothing really difficult there, because those tasks will help you to revise the necessary terminology before the course starts. But of course, during the course, there will be more input on that. There are some methodology books you might want to have a look at. So the books that we normally recommend is Learning Teaching by James Scrivener, or How to Teach English by Jeremy Harmer. Well, I would say if you have the time and the energy and the desire to read one of them, that's a good idea. During the course, you will have access to the books that we have at our center. And of course, when you start working the assignments, you can find the parts which are relevant to them. But if you'd like to invest some time into preparation for the course, of course, that's a good idea. You don't have to read both of them. One would be enough. Yes, so we also have teaching foundations courses at our center. So if you're interested in that, you can find more information on our website. And I must say that I would recommend them for those people who are not practicing English teachers, or who due to some circumstances, are not using the communicative approach and would like to learn more about it. But again, those courses are not prerequisites, so you don't have to take them. They will help you feel more confident during the CELTA course, but again, so it's up to you. Doubts and fears. And actually, when I was working on this section of my presentation, I asked some of my graduates, CELTA graduates, and some of my colleagues about the doubts and fears they had about taking the course. And some of them were quite interesting for me and quite surprising, I have to admit. So, well, of course, one of them is my language is not good enough. And, well, this is a good one because language is important. And if you haven't taken any exams like IELTS or FCE, CAE, or TOEFL, and you're not a native speaker, that's fine. That's a reasonable doubt, I would say. But again, there is one way to find out whether your language is good or not for that, to take the course, well, next week or next month. And the way to do that is to actually register for the course and do the interview. So you will complete the written tasks, you will speak to the trainer, and they will tell you. They will give you the answer, and if at this moment in time the language is not good enough, you will get the necessary support, the necessary recommendations, and the trainers will provide you. At our center, we try to send an email with the recommendations. So we give some written records of the recommendations that for the candidates, for them to work on and to try applying for the course again, for example, in 3 to 6 months. What if I fail? Yes, the fail grade is there. And no one can tell you that, no, come on, you're going to pass, don't worry about it. Well, it is possible to fail. But again, you're working on the course. The trainers are helping you to grow, to become better. And if anything doesn't go, if something is not to standard, at some point during the course, you will be told what to do and how to correct that. So you do need to try hard to fail this course. Especially given the fact that we accept people who can pass. So that's why the fail numbers are so low, especially at our center. No background in teaching and linguistics, but again, as I mentioned before, this is not, well, you do not have to have a degree in teaching or linguistics to take the course. This is a pre-service course, so you'll be learning about teaching and some aspects of language during the course, not before that. This is what I heard from some of my CELTA graduates, because they thought that they shouldn't take the course because they haven't taken the TKT exam. To me, that was a very strange fear. Because, well, the TKT exam is this is an exam, this is not a course, this is a theoretical exam, and this is a multiple choice exam, let's be honest about it. You don't have to teach during that exam, you have to have some awareness of teaching in order to pass it. but it's definitely not a prerequisite for the CELTA course. It could help, but not necessarily, because most of the learning will be happening in the classroom. And this is what the course is for. Right, talking in public. That's a very good one. I'll be honest with you. When I did my pre-service course years ago, I was horrible at it. I was afraid of standing. I just wanted to curl up and die when I had to stand in front of the students in the classroom and speak to them or ask them to do something, give them feedback. That was really scary. But this is something that just takes practice, and people do get better at this. So even if, well, this is what I meant when I said that some of you will discover and learn new things about yourselves during the course, because you will understand that if you didn't like it, you were not able to do something like that, now you can. And this is really empowering. This is what makes this course a life-changing experience for so many people. Not enough time. Yes, if you do not have enough time, probably you need to take the course later, or take the part-time course instead of the intensive one. We do have lives, we do have families, we have jobs, but we need to make sure that we can spend the necessary number of hours on this course. It's 200 hours in total, 120 contact hours and 80 hours of homework. So this is how much time you need to spend during the course, and you need to be aware of that. All right. Now we have the questions, and I will start with my questions, but if there is anything you'd like to ask about, I already have some questions here in the chat box, and this is great, so please add them to the chat box. I'm going to start with some of the common questions. All right, so how many candidates or trainees will there be on the course? That's a difficult question because nobody knows normally. But the rule is that you cannot have more than 6 trainees or teachers on the course working with one CELTA trainer. So there will be 1 trainer assigned for 6 trainees. Sometimes there will be 5 trainees in one group. Sometimes there will be 4. So which means that, but there could be up to 24 people on a CELTA course, which means that there would be 4 groups of 6 trainees and 4 trainers, CELTA trainers working on that course. But at the moment, given the situation with COVID-19 and everything, for the face-to-face course that we're running at our center, we try not to have more than 10 teachers on the course, because this is how many we can fit in a comfortable way into the biggest rooms that we have at our center, which is again comfortable. We need to remember about the social distancing, and of course safety is one of our greatest concerns right now. But for the online course, normally there are 10 to 12 trainees in those ones. If we talk about the CELTA online, this is the blended course where you do most of the work online and then come to Kiev for 2 weeks only. For that course, we decided on the timetable with no more than 4 trainees in one group. So probably if you want to spend more time with the trainer, with the CELTA trainer, and ask them more questions, that there you would get more attention. But again, we try to be fair to everyone and available to everyone when people need us. That's another question. I'm not a native speaker. Is that a problem? The answer is of course not. I think more than 50% of the people who are taking the CELTA course around the world are not native speakers. And you don't have to be a native speaker to be a good teacher of English. And in a lot of countries, there are laws which actually forbid centers and schools to discriminate. Do I need to have another interview if I have been interviewed and accepted by another center? This is what sometimes happens in Ukraine and around the world. So because of the number of formats, because of the lack of tutors, because we had a situation last summer when it was impossible to fly trainers into the country. So that was quite difficult. And some centers in Ukraine and around the world simply had to cancel the courses because they couldn't get enough trainers. And in those situations, they have candidates who have been interviewed, and they just, but they don't have the course. At our center, we do accept candidates with documents and acceptance letters, paperwork from other centers. Of course, we would have a brief chat on Zoom or in person with the candidate just to check some information and to give them more information about the center, about our center and how the course is administered at our center. But in general, you do not have to do another interview if you've already successfully passed one at another center. What are the chances of finding a job with a CELTA certificate? Well, they're higher than finding a job without the CELTA certificate, that's for sure. Very few centers actually can guarantee, well, no centers can guarantee employment to their candidates. Some centers can recommend teachers, good teachers, successful candidates who completed the course at the center to some companies. And we do get requests from some schools in Kiev, some quite reputable schools. I can say that last year, 4 people successfully find jobs with a very good school, one of the best schools in Kiev, and they're very happy about that. So we do help our trainees. Well, we encourage our trainees to keep in touch, and if we can, we of course will help them with employment. Can I work in another country with a certificate? In most cases, I will say yes, because again, this is a certificate recognized by a lot of international organizations and private schools. In some countries, you can even find a job at a state school, but private schools, it's much easier, and probably they will ask if you have the certificate. For example, you cannot start working for British Council anywhere in the world without this certificate. You will have to have this certificate. This is a rule. So yes, and in other countries, they will ask for this again. All right, some questions about the online CELTA, and here I'm talking about the completely online CELTA, which is done on Zoom. Who are the tutors? Again, given the nature of the CELTA course, right now, actually you can take the course anywhere in the world with any center out there. But the good news is that the centers in the local center, so for example, right now, I'm very happy to work with some tutors on our CELTA courses, on our online CELTA courses that I've worked with in the past, because I've done courses in other countries. I've worked in China, Lebanon, Poland. I spent a year in Thailand working with fantastic tutors from Scotland, from England and America, you know, and now I'm very happy that I can work with them again on our courses in Ukraine, which are done online. So for our January CELTA, there will be 2 native speaker tutors. there. And again, those are the trainers that I know and I have worked with personally. And there won't be any surprises, because some centers might hire trainers who just applied for this job and that they haven't worked with. So it's really good that we have now the chance to work with the people we enjoy working with and provide the same courses without actually leaving your own country. So if you're applying for the CELTA course at any other center, please check who the trainers are. That's a good thing to do. Ask them questions about the trainers, if they worked with them in the past, or those are the new trainers that they've never worked with before. How to choose the best center? It's very difficult now. You do have to look at the reviews. It's a very good idea to actually call the center and speak to someone in charge of teacher training at that center and ask them all the questions that you have. Because this is the only way that you can get the necessary information and to check whether this is the right center for you or not. Because again, with the CELTA Online, you can do it anywhere in the world. Of course, you need to be aware of the differences in the time zones. Yes, but it's good to speak to someone in charge at the center and to ask them the questions to make sure you choose the right one. Right. Is the certificate that you get for the completely online CELTA different from the one you would get for face-to-face course? And the answer to that is no. Again, this is the completely online CELTA is a very temporary solution to the COVID-19 problem and the situation. And that is the reason why the certificates that people get are no different from any other CELTA course, because the requirements are still the same. The courses are assessed the way they normally are. The number of hours is the same. The criteria used to assess teaching practice online and face-to-face are the same. So that's why the certificate is the same as well. Which platform is used for the course? We at our center use Zoom, and we do find that it's the most reliable one. Sometimes it's not very reliable, but at the same time, it's very it's familiar to people. People know it. People normally use it, or a lot of teachers are using Zoom in their everyday teaching. So that's why it would be easier for them to do it this way. The technical requirements. Of course, if you're interested in the online course, you will get a letter from the center with the technical requirements. Normally, you need to have either very reliable Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet. Ethernet, of course, is better than Wi-Fi. Because, well, it's more reliable. I don't have to explain why. And you need to have you need to have a computer for that. You cannot take the CELTA online, completely online CELTA using your tablet. You will need to have a personal computer for that. And a headset with microphone, and yeah, basically that's it. Yeah, so camera, microphone, and reliable internet connection, and a PC. What if I don't have much experience teaching online? Well, normally I do not recommend the online course to the people who have never done teaching and they want to try it for the first time in their lives, and that's why they decide to do the online CELTA. Again, it is possible. That's just my opinion. But if you don't have much experience teaching online, you will get that experience. That's for sure. A lot of people have switched to online, if not completely. They discovered this online teaching environment and they are using it. And well, in the future, people will be using it more. But for those people who are not confident in their online teaching skills, On our completely online CELTA course, we have those practice sessions where trainees can actually get together, and those sessions are incorporated in the timetable. So there will be 1 hour a week or 1 hour every week for people to try out new techniques before they actually teach a lesson to the real students. Because on CELTA courses, you do have to teach real lessons with real language learners. All right. Now, actually, I'm done with my questions, and now it's over to you. We do have some time for that. Let me have a look at the questions I haven't answered yet. Is online course different from the offline course? Yes, I would say it is. The timetable is slightly different because of that extra hour of the of teaching practice that is intended for those people who do not have any teaching or much teaching experience in the online environment. But it does cover the topic areas, the content areas from the CELTA syllabus. So the requirements are the same. So I would say that only the mode of delivery is different, and the teaching practice will be done online. So, but the content areas are the same, the certificate is the same, the requirements are the same, and just that 1 extra hour added to the timetable. Will you give some tips and tricks about teaching online? Of course we will. First of all, if you take the online course, there will be an input session to show you the basics of using Zoom, but a lot of people are already familiar with those. There will be demo lessons by the tutors, and there will be some techniques demonstrated during the course. And most importantly, you will also be learning from the other candidates on the course. So yes, there will be some important techniques which will be useful to those teachers who intend to continue teaching online. Yeah, so, and I think I mentioned that the assessment on the course is continuous, and every teaching practice is assessed, so you get 2 standard or not 2 standard. Normally people get 2 standard for the teaching practice, and the assignments. They have to pass 3 out of 4 assignments. And the assignments, each of the assignments can be resubmitted once. So if you don't pass the assignment on the first submission, you get it back with the tutor's comments, and you have the time to make the changes and submit it again and pass this time. So in order to pass the course, you need to meet your teaching practice over the course of 8. Your 8 lessons that you teach needs to meet the necessary criteria, which is normally done. And 3 out of the 4 written assignments need to be done. And of course, you have to be here. You have to complete 120 contact hours and 6 hours of observation. All right. Do you have any other questions about the course that you'd like to ask me? If so, please write them in the chat box. All right, thank you, Ola, for joining us. Right, so yeah, I'm still going to wait a little bit for the questions. Just if you are considering taking this course, again, this is a great opportunity to develop as a teacher, to learn something new, and to meet the like-minded people, and possibly some more experienced teachers that you can learn from, which is great. And so I would definitely recommend doing it. So be brave and do it. And if you're considering taking the course online, completely online, please remember that at the moment, Cambridge has allowed online courses starting till June 31st. So after that date, we do not know if they're going to stay with us or not. So we have about 8 or 9 more months of completely online CELTAs. Okay, so if you don't have any questions right now, thank you. And here is my email. So if you have more questions and you feel more comfortable writing them to me, please take a screenshot or a picture of this slide and feel free to send me an email. And here's the QR code, which will take you to our website, where you can find more information about the CELTA course. You can find some articles in the blogs and find more courses that we're offering, including Cambridge courses as well. Right, so thank you very much for attending this webinar today. I do hope to see you at our centers, our CELTA trainees, online or offline. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So please keep in touch. And again, here's the email. Yes, thank you. All right, so, all right. Thank you, everyone, and well, hope to see you again soon. Yes, goodbye.